Welcome everybody to this channel. My name is Rainer and this is Rainierbooks. But today, before I start talking about books and about the week that is behind us, I want to take you to one of the sites of Stockholm, the Olympic Stadium of Stockholm, where I'm attending a football game in the Damallsvenskan, the Women's Soccer League, here on Saturday afternoon. This stadium, which you can see behind me, I'm going to show you a little bit more of it, was built for the 1912 Olympic Games. And I'm just walking on the tracks where the athletes were running in 1912, 109 years ago, and where they set as many as 83 world records. Believe that or believe it not. 83 world records during the Olympic Games in 1912. And one of the most spectacular world records that was set on this track that I'm walking on was by an 18-year-old American named Donald Lippincott. He ran the 100 meters in 10.35 seconds, which was at the time a sensation. So this is the Stockholm Olympic Stadium. Welcome, and I'll take you around a little bit. And welcome to this video. I talk about books and talk about other things as well. Well, Tjena Booktube. So this was me in the Olympic Stadium of 1912 watching a football game in the Damallsvenskan between Djurgården and Växjö. If you want to read more about Swedish women's soccer, I can highly recommend my Swedish women's soccer blog that I started in English. Let's see if this works out. Let's see if I get some clicks on it. It's called The Box Sweden, and I put a link here down below. But this is about books, right? And we are talking about books, about my reading last week, about the books that I'm planning to read, the book that I had to not DNF, but abandon for a while, put back for a while on my TBR, and some other things. So let's start with the book that I finished last week, because at least I finished one book, which I'm quite happy about. And now I think I have also learned her name, because I was struggling with the name all the time. It's a long Latinx name. Her name is Karla Cornejo Villavicencio, right? And I'm going to deliver her book, The Undocumented Americans, back to the library here in my town. Yeah, whatever. I have to turn this back into the library. This was, as you can see, nominated, shortlisted for the National Book Award in the United States. I gave this, I have started to give stars actually. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, because, not more than 3 stars, because I think this is a very important book. Of course, it's about undocumented Americans, and there are millions probably of them. I don't know how many millions, I didn't research that. But Karla is herself a former undocumented American, Karla Cornejo Villavicencio. She's living in New Haven, Connecticut. She has written for many very famous American publications, and here in this book she has written about several. Her chapters in the book are very often connected to cities in America, like 9/11 is connected apparently to New York mostly. There is Flint, Ohio. There is Connecticut. There's also New Haven, a chapter about it. It's very personal. It's a very personal book where she's also writing about her parents, herself, and many people that she personally knows. But she also has sort of visited people, undocumented Americans, and made very gripping descriptions of their lives and of their decency as well, and their struggle to be able to stay in America and live a life that is putting bread on the table and paying the rent.
This book is very ambitious in its introduction, where Karla is writing, this book is for everybody who wants to step away from the buzzwords in immigration, the talking heads, the kids and generation caps and gowns, and read about the people underground, not heroes, randoms, people, characters. This book is for young immigrants and children of immigrants. I want them to read this book and feel what I imagine young people must have felt when they heard Nirvana's Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time in Seattle in 1991. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness, and I remember what I felt listening to Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time. I went into the bathroom, chopped my hair with my mom's fabric scissors, and then messaged a boy who was not a Jehovah's Witness, not allowed, and told him to meet me at the Virgin Megastore in Times Square to give me my first kiss. This book will give you permission to let go. This book will give you permission to be free. This book will move you to be punk when you need to be punk. Herman XS, it's time to fuck some shit up. So, it's a good book, yes, but the promise that the book makes in the introduction, that it sort of turns your world upside down, it didn't turn my views upside down. It didn't catch me as much and as close. Okay, I'm not an undocumented American. I never was an undocumented Swede. I never was an undocumented German. But so I like that experience. But nevertheless, I have read books like, and I like nonfiction books like this very much, that give us closer, that get us closer to social problems, like No Fixed Abode by Maeve McClanahan about homelessness in the UK, or when I remember probably the best book that I've ever read about the social status of our time is Evicted by Matthew Desmond. Probably the best book I've ever read in nonfiction about the great issues of our time is Evicted by Matthew Desmond. These books gave me more than the Undocumented American. It's still a good book. Don't read. You can absolutely read it, and I absolutely recommend it. But it didn't fulfill the expectations that I had. So that's what I wanted to say about this one. That being said, this was book number 30 of 2021 for me. Unfortunately, I have to return The Bad Muslim Discount by Syed M. Massoud to the library tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, because otherwise I will be fined. And there's someone who's waiting for that book, so I will give it back, but I haven't read it, which is not meaning that I'm going to DNF it. Absolutely not. I wrote it down on a list in one of my notebooks. I will get it again when time has come to try to read it completely. It had a very good start, but I just was reading too many books at the time, and I didn't get to it. And then suddenly I had a deadline, and it was impossible. So I turned to other things. I'm still reading, my dear friends from the Post-Soviet Book Club. You are very disappointed with me, I know that. I'm still reading and struggling with Museum of Abandoned Secrets by Oksana Zabuzhko. I have now read about 200 pages in of 700. And I have to say, still, I adored the writing in the beginning, and I also adored the work of the translator. But now it seems to have lengths a little bit in the middle, not in the middle, in the middle of the first half of the book. It has some lengths, and I really asked myself, is this necessary to write 724 pages? There's so much about the history of Ukraine. There are certain names that show up in the book where you actually should stop and Google and find out, make footnotes of the history of the country. It's a very complex work, a work where the author has put enormously much work in it. It's very ambitious. It's still a beautiful book, but I'm struggling with it. And I think if I wasn't in the Post-Soviet Book Club, if the Post-Soviet Book Club wasn't my sort of invention, I would DNF the book, not because it's bad, but because I think it's too much work to read it. The day after tomorrow, that is Wednesday, right, is the 1st of September. And the 1st of September is the day for the third book. And this is, I love the cover, I have shown it before. This is by the Polish author Dorota Maslowska, Snow White and Russian Red. That's the title of the book. And I'm going to start this on Wednesday. right? We're going to start this on Wednesday. If you are joining the Post-Soviet Book Club, if you don't know to find the Post-Soviet Book Club, it's still on Facebook, on a Facebook page. I put a link down below. You have to apply to be a member of it, and I will grant you membership if you tell me here in the comments down below that you want to join, and then send me the sort of application. That's what you have to do on Facebook, and then I can grant you access to the group. I still want to put it somewhere else because I think discussions could be better somewhere else. But we're going to read Maslowska. I also started reading one of the books that I bought recently. This is Natsuko Imamura's The Woman in the Purple Skirt, which is very funny because the beginning, the first chapter that I read, the woman in the purple skirt is described by another woman who sees her each and every day, and this is the woman in the yellow cardigan. So this started very Japanese, a little bit weird, very interesting stuff. And I also started reading a book that is called The Yield by Tara June Winch, which is actually from Australia, which is the winner of the Miles Franklin Award, the highest literary award that Australia has to give for 2020. And I have the first pages, the first chapter, is a little chapter, is one of the strongest chapters that I have read for a long time now, I would say. Can I read 2 paragraphs? Yes. The Yield. To begin, but there are too many beginnings for us Gondi-Windy. That's what we were bestowed and cursed with by the same shifty magic, an eternal once upon a time. The story goes that the church brought time to us, and the church, if you let it, will take it away. I'm writing about the other time, though, deep time. This is a big, big story. The big stuff goes forever. Time ropes and loops and is never straight. That's the real story of time. The problem now facing my own once upon a time is that Dr. Shah from the High Street Surgery has recently given me a filthy bill of health, cancer of the pancreas, which is me done and dusted. So because they say it is urgent, because I've got the church time against me, I'm taking pen to paper to pass on everything that was ever remembered, all the words I found on the wind. That's how this novel starts, The Yield by Tara June Winch, an Aborigine, indigenous Australian author who is living in France. A book that has been hailed, that has been praised, and I really like the beginning a lot. This is great, great storytelling. One more thing here from my IKEA armchair. I've seen a couple of BookTube videos recently. I should actually watch a lot more BookTube videos, of course, but time is limited, as you all know. And I sort of see that there are so many people, and that's, on the one hand, it's beautiful. There's so many people of fellow booktubers who review the long list of the Booker Prize, which consists of 13 books. I don't know how many people do that, but there is at least half a dozen, if not a dozen, of people who read all these books, and it's so admirable on the one hand. On the other hand, I think that BookTube is so much more than just the Booker Prize, and reading is so much more than the Booker Prize. So Booker should give all of those who read the long list completely and review it, should give the whole set of books to these people who do a lot of work and who sort of focus their whole reading on reading the Booker list, which I am not going to do. I have 3 books, as I told you before, that I have bought, and I haven't read them yet. The Promise by Damon Gilgut, the book from Sri Lanka by Anuk Arat Pragasam called A Passage North. And I also have, because I'm always a fan of Canadian literature, of Canadian books that play in Canada, A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson. And about this book, I haven't read it yet. I have to admit, I haven't read it. But I saw a couple of reviews about A Town Called Solace, and these reviews sort of left me very much thinking about one thing that is connected to the Booker Prize that I absolutely dislike. I'm not going to mention any names here, but I think the people that have read A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson and who have reviewed it here on BookTube, they all liked it a lot. And they say, like, this is a great author. She knows how to craft a story. She knows how to build characters. She knows how to plot a story. She knows how to immerse a reader. And then comes the big but. But this cannot be a Booker book. And I ask myself, so what? What? You basically praise this book as an author who is able to write a story, to build characters, to give a great plot. And not everybody, I mean, out of 20 or out of 100 writers, how many are capable to craft a story, to craft a great plot, to build great characters, and to immerse you really in a book by epic storytelling? How many of 100? Patricia Lockwood? No. I DNF'd it. Sanjeev Sahota? He's good, but he didn't sort of immerse me into his book. China Room, I DNF'd it, not for this reason, for another reason. But I think that we should be, why are we expecting the Booker winner or the Booker shortlist to be consisting of books that only a small bunch of people are able to read because they are so extravaganza, because they're so ambitious and so new in their way of telling a story, of talking about an issue, that we have problems of getting this into, of reading this. Is that really the goal of a prize? Can that be a goal of a prize? Then I wouldn't give so much shillings or pence or pounds or dollars for that prize. Because, I mean, I'm going to read this and maybe I'm going to like it as much as you do. It's also, last year, I think the Booker winner, Douglas Stewart's Shuggy Bane, is a very traditional story, right? And I was very happy with that winner because here was a great story and a great storyteller that told us a story that has been told before, more or less. In different ways, but here was something special that touched our hearts and touched our souls, and that's what literature has to do, right? And if A Town Called Solace is a great book, that should go to the shortlist of the Booker. That's my humble opinion. I haven't read it, but that was something that really came to my mind when I heard and I saw some of the videos last week. So this was a rant. I'm German, we rant a lot in Germany, so, but never mind, we are very kind and peaceful people nowadays. So thank you very much for being around on the channel here. I hope that you got some interesting ideas. The future of this channel is going to be like this, the near future. I'm going to publish a video with the LTAC 2 days after this one. I'm probably going to do another tag. I have to do books in August where I summarize the books that I think are the most interesting publications of August, books that I very likely going to buy or to borrow from the library when they arrive there. And I also will do a video about all the books. I mean, I have 32 now, I think, that I have bought as ebooks since the beginning of this year. I hope that you stay tuned to this channel, but most of all, in times of rising COVID numbers in many, many countries, I hope that you stay as safe as possible. Thank you and good night.